are here live right now with the Mac and Murray Show. Welcome back in. This is our second episode. This episode, we're going to be diving into the biggest games of week one. And EMAC, this week one is absolutely loaded. You and I are still somewhat young. I know I got the grays, my man's bald, but we are fairly young still. This has been, from my playing days to now broadcasting days, I would say one of the more exciting week ones in college football that I can remember. So I think it goes to the scheduling, the new conferences, and I think it's only going to get better and better, obviously, with the SEC adding a ninth conference game. But this week one is something special. Am I missing something here? Is this as good as it can get?
Yeah, I think it's loaded. And I'll tell you why I think it's maybe a little more juice than what we typically think of, because these games are being played on site, man.
Yeah.
When you and I played each other, it was at Death Valley. It was at Georgia. It wasn't at some neutral site. It was there in the school, and that's what a lot of these are. I know there's a handful of neutral sites, but man, it just feels like Texas, Ohio State, as big as it gets in the shoe. LSU going to Death Valley and Clemson, as big as it gets. You know, Notre Dame going to Miami. It's huge. It's an unbelievable opportunity, and it just means so much more, right? Like there's a ton of juice, and I think people get really fired up by that. There's nothing like playing in front of your crowds. There's nothing like going somewhere and shutting everybody up, right? Like I know as a quarterback, as an offensive lineman, when we would go somewhere and we could just kind of look and wave to the crowd when it's over, man, it's a cool feeling to be able to go.
Did you play in any neutral site games? Because we played one time versus Boise State in the kickoff classic, and I guess it was the Georgia Dome, well, not Mercedes-Benz then, but it was a neutral site game to start the season off, and it was fun. It was enjoyable, but I agree, like going to you guys my senior year, which was a rough game, but just being a part of that atmosphere, so much more excitement, so much more energy. It just felt, I like that feeling. You know, I think the neutral site games are cool, somewhat, but preference wise, I would rather be actually in Sanford Stadium or your home stadium, whatever team that you're rooting for, or at an opposing stadium, like you said, having that, hey man, we're going in there and we're going to shut that crowd up from the very first snap kind of mentality.
Yeah. So we played Auburn in 12 in the same, I think it's the same game, probably a couple years after, or however you look at that. But then, the rest of the time it was you guys coming to our house, us going to your house. And then I think we opened against like Wofford or something the next game. So there's my senior year, but there's nothing like being at your home place for a juice. And I think we kind of like ran through the course of the neutral site, right? Like it was a huge deal. Oh my gosh, you're playing at Cowboy Stadium, you're playing out in Pasadena, you're playing da-da-da. But now it feels like fans, I know players, coach, everybody's like, no. Let's get this thing home and home. We want to play here. You want to play there. But there's so much money, I guess, in these classics and kickoffs and whatever. It's probably hard for them to go away. But, man, there's nothing like, as you and I both have experienced at the highest magnitude, the highest level, highest implications, having that thing home and home is a big deal.
Let me ask you this question. We're going to get into breakdowns real quick and just a rundown for today's show. We're going to dive deep into 5 of the biggest games of the weekend, then we'll pick 4 other games. So we're going to be breaking down Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, Alabama, FSU, Notre Dame, Miami, Syracuse, Tennessee, and then we'll do some quick picks at the end. USC, Virginia Tech, Auburn, Baylor, Georgia Tech, Colorado, TCU, and UNC. Before we get into those big-time games, just one more question on this neutral site, pushing it to the middle of the season. Because I want to ask you this, because it's a big question around Georgia football and Florida football, the neutral site in Jacksonville for the world's largest cocktail. Would you be cool with that, or would you like to see that as a fan in Gainesville or in Athens?
Well, you're much more educated and obviously have played in that game of that magnitude. For me, I want to see it at home and home. I don't think there's any, I don't care. I don't care that it's in Jacksonville. I think it's weird. Maybe it's directly in the middle, whatever the point of that game is, but I want to see that in the swamp. I want to see that between the hedges. I want to see war with your fans and our fans and going at it. And the 50-50 is cool, but I get that thing at home and home. Was it cool for y'all? Because that is weird. Neutral site in the middle of the year, but I've never played in that. So
it is one of the most electric atmospheres that you'll ever be a part of.
Because it's probably just loud. The
whole game's loud. The whole game's loud. So I love it. The pregame, driving over the bridge, seeing all the red and black on one side and the blue and orange and the tents. And I mean, it is as good as it can get. Obviously, Texas, Oklahoma have their thing as well. So I'm fine with that one.
So you're good?
I think
you want to leave it alone?
I want to leave it alone. Leave it where it's at.
Yeah.
Just leave it in Jacksonville. So obviously it's going to go different locations as Jacksonville redoes their stadium here in a few years, but looking forward to getting back there after all that All right, let's get into it. Ohio State hosting Texas, maybe one of the greatest week one matchups of all time. The storylines are incredible. You got Arch, you got the defending national champs at Ohio State. They're breaking in a brand new quarterback. Two of the best players in America, maybe the best two players in America on Ohio State. I mean, the storylines are just absolutely crazy heading into this game. Big noon kickoff. And, listen, I work for ESPN. I know there's a lot of fans for Ohio State that hate that they play so many noon games, but I do think Fox does a really good job with their pregame and then obviously with the performance of that big noon kickoff. So there'll be a lot of juice. There'll be a lot of excitement. I can't wait to watch it. Initial thoughts when you saw and know that, hey, Texas, Arch Manning, first real start, legitimate start as a quarterback. I know he started last year in some games, but he is the guy now at Texas going in against the defending national champs in Ohio State. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, I think first of all, let's be real. AP voters, what are you doing? Why did you not make this 1 versus 2? Yeah. How dumb are we that we couldn't put everything aside and just pack this game to the max? I mean, that's what I thought it would be the whole year. I mean, I thought that we were leading into it. I thought that's what we were getting. And, man, how fun that would be. But, again, 1 and 3, whatever. That's kind of cool there. But, yeah, what an opportunity. Both these quarterbacks. And starting with Arch, man, you've been there, done that as a QB. But I think of myself playing in early games when I'm a young guy. And there's a lot, right? And you're going on the road. You're going in the horseshoe. 105,000 people there, whatever, all screaming against you, hating you, don't want you to have any type of success, but you're a Manning, dude. You're ready for it. And, you've been prepared for this moment. We talked about it earlier in the week that I don't think that spotlight's going to be too big. I don't think he's going to be rattled. I don't think from his preparation standpoint, his confidence level, I think he's going to be okay. Now, you get punched in the face, and that's a different story, right? You get that first hit, and Caleb Downs coming downhill, and look out. That could be a different type of ball game. But I think going into it, that first snap, his hands are going to be still. He's going to be ready to go, and that offense is going to be humming. But there is something to it. What was your first start on the road? What was that for you?
Dude, my first start on the road was against South Carolina when South Carolina was really, really
tough
good.
Place.
And they are good now this year
place.
again, and Beamer's got them rolling again. But this was the best South Carolina's been in decades.
So what year is this? Give us a date. Is this 09?
2010.
So they were really rolling. Jadeveon Clowney, not there yet. He was 11. He's not there yet, but they're good.
Yeah, but they were
really
still,
good.
I think they may have still won the East that year. Maybe it was Florida did. But, they were, when the old ball coach was there, they were a damn good football team. And that place gets crazy. I think still you know it. You played there.
Yeah.
I would say still one of the more underrated college football environments and storms. But it was my first time. And it's weird because yes, it's intimidating, but their atmosphere is it's so fun. I mean, I think Tennessee's really intimidating because there's the sheer mass of the stadium. My God, there's 100,000 people that are on top of you. I think Ohio State, Michigan probably feel the same way. There's 100,000 people that are literally on top of you going crazy. Where Sandstorm in South Carolina, it was a bitch to deal with. It was fun, man. I loved it. I'm jumping up and down with a towel in my own hand, waving around let's go, baby. If this is an away atmosphere, this is freaking awesome. So, a little bit different, not as maybe as large as a stadium, obviously, but go into Arch real quick. This is what I put down of why he will have success and why he won't. Arch will succeed because he's a great athlete. And when you're on the road going against a great team and you have the ability to keep a defense honest because of your athleticism, as we know, that is unbelievable for an offense, for a coordinator like Steve Sarkisian, and for a quarterback to make plays. When things aren't there, and you can just take off and get a first down, and that defense is frustrated, and you kind of feel like you're a part of the game. You get hit, you get some running, get the adrenaline going. I think that is pivotal for a lot of quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks that haven't played a lot of football. So he is an athlete. He can make plays with his legs. He made some really impressive throws last year. I know a lot of them weren't against elite defenses, but still to go back and say, I made completions in this offense that were pretty damn sexy gives you some confidence. I think he's got elite talent around him, and I think he's got some of the best running backs in the SEC with Wisner and Baxter. So it's not like it's him against the world here. He has an opportunity just to hand the ball off, get to third and manageable, get to second and manageable with that running game. So those are the reasons why he will be successful. And obviously, too, I think he's one of the best play callers in America, and Steve Sarkisian setting things up for him. Why he won't have success. This is still an elite defense. This is a defense, yes, that lost a lot from a year ago, but still has Caleb Downs, still is going to be talented at all three levels. Caleb's going to be all over the place. You got to find a way to locate him going against elite defense on the road. Another reason why I won't have success, inexperience at offensive line.
Mhm.
Offensive line, a lot of new faces going into a hostile environment. You talk about managing the nerves. I'm more worried about that offensive line managing their nerves, not
Sure.
jumping off sides, not holding, not getting behind the sticks. How good would that offensive line be in that first game with only one starter back? And like I said, it's going to be a difficult environment. So those are kind of how I boiled down to, can he
Mhm.
manage that? Can he just calm his nerves down? Yes. But the guys around him, especially up front, got to be able to go out there and protect him in that environment as well. And that worries me a little bit in the first game for Texas.
Yeah, and I think, the athleticism's a big deal, right? Like seeing that and how much do they run them? Do they run them early? Talking with my quarterbacks, Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson, like
Mhm.
they wanted to run
Yep.
soon. Like first play, second play, let me get hit. Let me feel that, like you said, so I can kind of be in this game, not just sitting back there trying to throw darts, but let me be a part of that. Let me feel that. But you gotta be careful because they're gonna be licking their chops trying to hit
Mhm.
you. That's a
Yep.
that's a big moment. That's a big deal, where they can kind of make their name, right? Taking out Arch Manning and not saying anybody's
Mhm.
trying to hurt anybody, but a big shot,
No,
and
they
that's a game
are.
changer. Right. The defense is trying to hurt us every play. They're trying to break you in half, at the quarterback position. And I, as offensive lineman, are trying to break them so they don't, get to you because it's literally war out there every play. And I think how much do they run them will be very intriguing.
Mhm.
But there's also something to having an elite defense like Texas does, where there's not as much pressure. If I'm March
Yep.
Manning, I don't have to score 50. Can I score 20 and we win? Can I score 18, 17 and we win? Maybe. In a game like this where Ohio State also dealing with a brand new quarterback. So I think that's going to be interesting just to see how aggressive are we? How much are we from a Sarkisian standpoint? How much are we managing the game? How much are we letting him rip it, knowing that Caleb Downs is back there somewhere, and just letting him take some chances? Because it's a big game. Like people don't understand or need to understand. You play Western Carolina, App State, first game, okay, we can do some stuff. This is a playoff national championship caliber game. One
Mhm.
mistake could ruin everything for you. It could
Yep.
be over. It's going to come down to 3 to 4 plays that are made one way or the other that ultimately win this team the game there. So I think it's also fascinating. We're dealing with two quarterbacks getting their essential first start as the guy of each program and how much that factors in.
Well, I honestly, as I continue to dive into this game and get ready to go for the weekend, I kind of feel like it's gonna be a lower scoring game. I do. I don't think this game is gonna be, kind of in the 30s. I'd be really
Mhm.
surprised. I think Ohio State themselves have, obviously we haven't even touched about them and Julian Saint at the quarterback spot. And yeah, I know he's a big time recruit. I know there's a lot of excitement. I've heard nothing about good stuff. We talked about it the other day on our preview show. But still, this is a big moment for him. And I know some of the shine is not on him because it's on Arch Manning, but you said it best. For Ohio State fans, they don't care what Arch Manning does because that's a one game series. It's a one game right there. And yeah, they want their defense to go out there and dominate against Arch Manning, but they're expecting Julian Sayin to be really damn good for 12 games plus this year. And this is his first opportunity to prove that, hey, I can lead this team to back national championships. And this is a big moment for him against, like you alluded to, a really good Texas team. So, like, we know it. He's got great receivers around him. He's got maybe the best player in America at the receiving position around him. Those guys are good. But we talked about Arch and the ability just to hand the football off to kind of
Yeah.
ease the nerves a little bit, take the pressure off the quarterback. Don't feel like he has to be perfect. Does Julian Saint have that ability? They lost their best two running backs. Yeah, they're going to be talented back there. Ohio State recruits really well the skill position, but those guys are still inexperienced. Are they ready for the big time moment? Can you just hand the football off to get to manageable situations and not allow Texas with Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill and those guys up front to wreak havoc on third and long situations? So for both quarterbacks, especially for Julian Saint here, one, because I played with a guy like Jeremiah, just feed him the ball, trust him. If you see one-on-one, you give him as many opportunities as you can. I had AJ Green my freshman
Mhm.
year. I
Mhm.
saw one-on-one. Every time it's one-on-one, I'm taking those chances because guess what? Texas is not going to give you a lot of those chances. They're
Correct.
not. They're going to find a way to bracket him. They're going to put a safety over the top. But when they do say, you know what, we're going to risk it. We're going to bring some pressure, whatever it may be. If you get that one-on-one chance, every single time you get it, you better be throwing that football to your best receiver on the outside. But other than that, man, you just got to play within yourself because
Yeah.
there is going to be that feeling of, I got to match Arch. There is.
Correct.
I had the same pressure too as a quarterback.
Yeah. Shot
When
for
I knew I
shot.
was going
Right.
against a big time guy, my
Yeah.
mind was like, hey, I got to be better than that guy. I got to prove
Mhm.
that I'm better than him. I got to prove that I'm better than Arch Manning. And for
Yeah.
Julian saying, don't get caught in that. Just play your game, trust your game, and go out there and do your thing. So I think they're going to be kind of feeling each other out early, both offenses. That's why I kind of lean, honestly, Eric, to this being a low scoring game.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. It's like two heavyweight boxers, right? Either one has the ability to knock you out in a second, but are they willing to risk it and get hit themselves? And
Yep.
that's going to be the fascinating thing. Who calls the first shot? When is it called? How confident are? Because again, you've got Jeremiah Smith. Like, let it rip. Let's see.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael Tapp, you're an All-American. Let's see. Let's find out if you can get back fast enough with help with your corner as well to make that play. But I have to think they are going to absolutely Texas try to take away Jeremiah Smith as much.
Oh, you
Like,
have to.
beat us with anybody else. We're bracketing him. We have safety over the top. Coverage is leaning this way. Like they're going to try to do that. But to go back to Ohio State quickly and handing the ball off, I like CJ Donaldson a lot.
Yeah.
Like bringing him in from West Virginia,
Mhm.
6'2", 230, like just nasty dude, good with taking the load. And then you got James Peoples there as well. But you're right, from an experience standpoint, being the guy at this magnitude, it's going to be a little bit different for them. I love what you said about AJ Green. I wanted to ask you this before we pivot a little bit more here. When you have a guy that literally is that good, even when he's double teamed, and let's say first quarter goes by, he has 2 targets. Like, what is your mindset as the quarterback? Are you thinking, I've got to force feed this dude? Like, what are we doing? Or
You do, you
do you just
100%
play in
you
the
do.
offense?
No,
Yeah.
no, no, you
Yeah.
you have to at some point. You can't go through a whole game and target a guy like Jeremiah only 5 times or 6 times. At some point, you say, "You know what, coach, we gotta take some shots." Or we gotta move him around, and I think that's something that Ryan Day and his staff are gonna have to do maybe at some point of, "Hey, man, maybe we motion him. Maybe we find ways to put him in the slot, find ways to essentially force Texas to single him up." And they've done their film study. They know when certain guys move in certain positions, what Texas is going to do defensively to match that motion or shifts. They'll find ways to give him enough one-on-ones, but like they go to my previous point, whenever he does, you just got to go to him. Because Texas is not going to just double him the whole game. They're going to have to take some
Mhm.
chances themselves defensively. They're going to have to play some single high defense throughout the game as well, and that's going to cause some one-on-ones. And you just got to be ready as a quarterback to take your shots. Let's get it. This is your and I's first pick. Mac and Murray, first pick. Two of the best teams in America. Big time game here on Fox this weekend. I got Texas winning a close one, and I'm going to lean on the fact that Arch has played more football than Julian Sayin. I think Texas's defense is legit. I think Texas still has plenty of talent around Arch. I think Arch's legs with the good running game with Wisner and Baxter, I think can get it done on the road. I just haven't seen enough of Julian Sayin yet to say
Yeah.
that I trust him to go out there and win a big time game. Like I said, it's going to be close. I think it's going to be lower scoring. I think Texas wins a game that's somewhere around that 24 to 21 mark.
Yeah, I think that score is right about where it would be. Would not be surprised if we're in the teens. Again, just an ugly, nasty game, but it's that heavyweight fight, and it's people that are in a great position after that to go on to the natty here. I flip flopped 100 times on this game. Just how I think it can go down. How impactful is the shoe going to be? How distracting can that be? How much of, again, the penalties and putting behind the chains, and if you get Arch behind the chains, what does that look like? Does he make some mistakes trying to force it? Man, there's a million ways it can happen. And then you've got the 2 best players in America that we both think, and Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith, and Julian gets it out. Man, I hate this. I do not like Ohio State. Sorry, I'm going to be super real. I had bad experience with those fans. I think they win. And I think it is a big time shockwave to the nation. I think Julian Sayins is like, here we are.
Yeah.
This is what I got. I got all these Lambos here, and I'm going to drive them myself. I see what you got in Texas, but we're going to do just fine right here. So I think I'm going with the Buckeyes, and I think they start this season with a bang. And I'm not saying a blowout, but they win this game.
All right. I like us on different sides for our first one.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Here's something interesting as we kind of transition here, because we're going to talk LSU Clemson really big, and we're going to dive into them a little bit more. I mean, you're talking about arguably the 2 best quarterbacks in the country. Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett just got the number 18, huge deal, very important, really cool to see. And you've got 2 offenses that just feel like they're flying around, making plays, going to make big time things. So what defense, do you trust more? Where do you get from that aspect where you're like, okay, this is who I feel really good about. These are the things that I think is going to happen. I think Clemson has the edge here. And we'll talk about picks in a minute. And I know I'm a homer. I get all those things. I just think that this defense for Clemson is going to be amongst the best in the entire country. I think that Peter Woods, TJ Parker are going to cause all kinds of issues. You're going to slide to them. You're going to try to double team them. And then you forget about DeMonte Capehart, who was a 5-star. You forget about Will Held, who people are talking about. Matt Miller from ESPN's talking about, is he going to play his way into being a first-round pick? I mean, that's crazy. There's no way anybody was thinking about that a year ago. But on this Clemson team, can he evolve into that? You got first-rounders in the secondary, Avion Terrell, Ashton Hampton on the other side. He's too young to be draft eligible yet. And then, just the safety play. I think that on top of the inexperienced offensive line in regards to being together, I know there's some guys that have played but not together, that's going to cause some issues for Nuss. And he's going to be seeing some ghosts, I think, by the end of it.
Listen, these big time games early on the season, I would love to say that, hey, I'm going to go to the skill position. I'm going to go to the receivers. I'm going to go to the quarterback. And I love the receivers for both these teams. I think I love the quarterbacks for both these teams. And to be honest, I think these two quarterbacks are probably my number one and number two when it comes to Heisman guys to start the season. I think two teams that are going to be in contention to win their conference. Two quarterbacks are going to be putting up some crazy numbers because of the receivers and there's just overall schematics of what they want to do offensively. So I love both those guys. I look towards this game and I look to the big uglies. I look to you guys up front. Which team do I trust right now in a big time game in a loud environment to dominate the lines of scrimmage? Clemson is going to have one of the best offensive lines in America. Clemson has one of the best defensive lines in America. LSU is replacing 4 guys up front on offense. LSU is replacing a lot of guys on the defensive line. And then obviously had some depth issue a year ago. They feel like they've gotten better and deeper, but still not to the same levels. When you want to go position by position, maybe I give LSU a slight nod at the quarterback. I do like Garrett a little bit better than Cade. I like the receivers just a little bit better than Clemson. Offensive line, though, I think it's a huge advantage to Clemson. I think defense, big advantage to Clemson, besides maybe the linebackers there at LSU and what they could do with Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins. But I think overall, Clemson is going to be the more physical football team. And I think when you're the more physical football team, plus there's really not a major difference when it comes to athleticism on the outside, and you're at home in that atmosphere. I mean, you know how I feel. I mean, for those who watched our preview show, I think Clemson's the best team in America. I think the Clemson has the least holes and the most experience on both teams, plus a coach that's won multiple national championships. So I'm not going to go against Clemson in this game. I think Clemson's the better team. I think they make a massive statement. And let's not forget, LSU is like, 0-5 in these games to start the season off. I think they just can't find a way to win the opening game. I think they'll be 0-6 after this weekend.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about just when you see that. And looking at the position battles and, what can Clemson do to get to that second level, right? Run blocking and how much of the run game is a piece of it, because you're looking at either a guy that has moved over from the receiver position to running back in Adam Randall. And listen, he's transitioned very well, and Clemson is really excited about that. But he hadn't been hit by LSU. He hadn't been hit by Weeks, and he hadn't been hit by these guys. And how different, will that be? Behind him is nothing but inexperience. You've got a redshirt freshman and a true freshman. So if LSU knows that, and they essentially dare Clemson to run, is that a lot on Cade? Is there enough success with Adam Randall running the ball? And what do those windows look like throwing it? I'm fascinated in the chess match that will occur, and just knowing how good these quarterbacks are. And I think similar to what we said about Arch, a quarterback who has the threat of his legs is always a more dangerous thing. And we've seen Cade Klubnik time and time again kill people with his legs. Had a walk-off 50-yard touchdown against Pittsburgh last year. It's just, that is a real game changer, and you have to schedule for it. You have to prepare for it. And I think that will open up different windows at different times. I'm with you. I think the line of scrimmage is a big deal. Clemson dominates on both of those.
Well, I mean, listen, for LSU, if LSU is going to find a way to win this game on the road, they have to protect. I don't think this is a game where LSU is going to want to be balanced. I mean, you have, once again, like I would say, the premier passer in college football heading into the season, Garrett Nussmeier. You got Aaron Anderson and Chris Hilton and Berrien Brown and Nick Anderson. The guys on the outside are elite. They're deep. They're talented. They got a bunch of number ones out there. This may be a game, and this is kind of LSU's MO. I mean, this was them last year too. And I know that they want to get to being more balanced. They want to be able to run the football and they want to be able to really challenge that offensive line. And I'm sure they're going to try and test it out early. I'm just saying, from knowing that playing in that environment, against that defensive line, I think this is going to turn into a game in which Garrett Nussmeier throws the ball 45 to 50 times. Is he
Correct.
good enough to win throwing the ball 45 to 50 times? If he can take care of it, not make the silly mistakes that hurt him a year ago, not turn it over, and be that Heisman quarterback, then yes, they have a chance. I just think that once again, from a roster standpoint, and I'm a big believer in LSU this year. I still think that LSU, no matter what happens in this football game, is a contender to make it into the playoffs, is still a contender in the SEC as that
Oh
defense
yeah.
continues to get better year two with Blake Baker. I just think Clemson's that good at
Mhm.
home. That's going to be a little bit too much, even if Garrett has a great game for that defense to be able to slow down what Clemson has offensively. So I think this game is obviously a little bit more higher score. I think this game is more entertaining, to be honest. I know the big matchup
Right.
is Texas Ohio State. I think this is the better game because both teams are more experienced and more
Mhm.
experienced at some pivotal spots. I think it's going to be an incredible game Saturday night. But I think Clemson can win this game somewhere in that 35, 28, 35, 31. Still going to be close, going to be ultra competitive. I just think a little bit more scoring going on.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it's funny, the older guys, cleaner football, better football, and what does just that equate to? And you talk about, throwing it 40, 50 times. Like, that's going to be hard for that offensive line, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
you're talking about two top 5 picks in TJ Parker and Peter Woods there, not to mention all the guys behind. There's just,
it's going to
if
be
they get into that
loud.
situation, I think it's going to be really bad for
Well,
LSU. If they have to throw it 45 times a game, he'll get sacked 5 plus times. I mean, it's going to be bad. And those guys are going to be hunting. And now if it's quick game and you can get it out to those talented guys, sure, but I just don't know. You have to find some type of balance somehow, some way. If Clemson can pin their ears back, blitz, and send games, I don't think that's a recipe for
well,
disaster for
let's be honest.
LSU.
I mean, the big discussion this whole season was the who is the true Death Valley. I think there's a pride
Right.
factor, obviously, with the
Right.
fans. I think that place is going to be as loud as it's ever been. And it gets
Yeah.
pretty damn loud from a guy
Yeah.
that played an opening game, a
You've
big
seen
time
it.
game there. His night game is going to be loud, loud,
Yeah.
loud, loud, loud. So you're talking about a brand new offensive line
Right.
dealing with that environment and that noise and possibly throwing the ball a shitload.
I know.
That's a recipe. So I think we
For
both
disaster.
lean Clemson in this one. So that is Clemson, LSU. Great game, but Clemson gets it done. All right, let's get to Alabama, the Crimson Tide, year two, Kalen DeBoer going to Florida State in a great matchup. I don't know. I don't know if I can use the word great matchup. A big brand matchup.
Big brand matchup.
I don't think it's gonna be a great game. I'm gonna see if my ACC counterpart over here can find a way for Florida State to make this interesting. So
Yeah.
I'll be negative. Y'all kind of know how I'm leaning right now. So I'll give you the floor first,
Thank
EMAC,
you.
Mr.
Thank you.
ACC.
Yeah.
Give me your initial thoughts on this football game.
Well, I appreciate that. And you're really high on Alabama. So you
Yeah.
kind of need this game to go a certain way too, which I totally understand. But there's a lot of talent on that Bama roster, man. I mean, you look everywhere, every position group, first rounder, and you're just like, my gosh, here we go. The thing for me, man, that it's a totally different team. So you look at last year, 2-10 FSU, worst season in program history ever. They've been playing football a long time, and that is by far the worst. How do you get it? A change of personnel? How do you get the bad taste out of your mouth? Go get new players. Go get a new coaching staff. And that's essentially what they've done outside of Mike Norvell. You got 2 new coordinators, and Coach White on the defense, who I knew at Syracuse, and he went to Nebraska, and now he's back in the ACC. And then you got Gus Malzahn, who is very familiar with
Yeah.
Alabama and had great success. Not that necessarily translates, other than not being afraid of that crimson helmet when it rolls in. I am fascinated for that. To see how does Coach Gus Malzahn orchestrate this? Like, no head coaching duties, just ball. He gets to be the mad scientist up in the box, looking down and playing chess. And how much does that work? And you've got a great piece in Tommy Castellanos that is very mobile, that on the run can throw dots, that I think is electric as a runner, not just as running passer. And how much can he handle? He's kind of been one of those guys throughout his career that when it's good, ooh, on fire.
Yep.
Great player. When it's down, little back and forth,
Yep.
and that can really hurt you. So if there's a kryptonite to Alabama's defense throughout this entire dynastic run that they have had, and maybe some people say that's over, maybe not, it's mobile quarterbacks. How much can he hurt you? How much can he force you to play 11 on 11 and just create, just be a magician within that thing? I love their weapons, and they've got some young guys that are playing. You've got big Deuce Robinson coming over from USC, a freakazoid. I mean, 6'6", 250, 245, and he's a receiver. Like they're going to move him around. To me, man, that first play, and I'd love your opinion on this too, when you're playing such a high quality defense, right? This is going to be one of the best in the country. Let's just get him. Play action to the left, roll them right, and I just want to see a completion. Just
Oh,
get
yeah,
Deuce,
just make it
and let's
easy.
see what happens. That's
What?
kind of where I hope it starts.
Well,
From then, I don't know what's going to happen.
I still, I mean, I know Lane has done a good job of it at Ole Miss when it comes to just rebuilding rosters and just hitting reset and bring guys
Yeah.
in. I don't know if FSU has necessarily they brought in a lot of new guys in. I don't know if I consider a lot of those guys as elite, maybe
I
better
think
than
they
they
have
were
like
a
a
year
top, I think it's a
ago.
top 20 transfer class. So it's decent. It's decent.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. But
It's
you're
a
right.
lot. I'm just saying
Elite,
there's a lot
it's not
going
top
on,
10.
but be
It's
able
not
to
top 5.
piece all that together with coordinators, new
Mhm.
players, and then you're going against what I would, probably a top 3 or 4 roster in college football in Alabama. So I think there's a lot of pressure, obviously, for Norvell. I think there's a lot of pressure for Kalen DeBoer heading into this season. I just look at Alabama and say, you know what, why is this team in a position to have success this year? I think first and foremost, it's the defense. I think this is going to be one of the premier defenses in college football. Return a lot of guys at all 3 levels. They're big, they're fast, they're physical. They were great a year ago. They're probably going to be even better this year. Offensively, I still was disappointed with Jalen a year ago and the inability for him to really develop as a quarterback
Yeah.
consistently. But you got Ryan Grubb, you got your OC now, and honestly, you never know. Like I'm not going to say that Ty Simpson necessarily is a better quarterback than Jalen Milroe. If he was, he would have started a year ago. But
Right.
sometimes, like the system does fit a guy better. And there was some, just whatever it was, something was not clicking at a consistent rate with Kalen DeBoer and Jalen. And maybe Ty Simpson's second year in the system can click. They got some great receivers, obviously, with Ryan Williams. You got Bernard on the outside. You're missing Jam Miller. I'd have a lot more confidence early on the season. If Jam was playing, he'll be out for part of the beginning of the season. But offensive line is going to be really good. Receivers are really good. I still think Ty is a good thrower. He's an athlete himself that can rate when things aren't there. So I just think like we talked about earlier with Clemson, there isn't a lot of holes in Alabama. And there's a reason why a lot of people are picking them to win the national championship and why I think they are one of the best rosters in America. Not a lot of big holes. Is Ty Simpson good enough to win a championship? Is he good enough to win big time games? Still TBD, but I think the defense is good enough where he doesn't have to be Superman.
Correct.
And he can just kind of play within himself and just kind of relax and just play ball. So I think all eyes will be on him. I don't think this is a ball game, though, to be honest. I think there's a massive talent gap between these two rosters. I think there's a gap between Kalen DeBoer and Mike Norvell when it comes to head coaching. I know Mike Norvell had a great season 2 years ago, but Kalen DeBoer has been consistent his career. I think Kalen DeBoer last year had a good season. I think that he's only going to continue to get better and better at Alabama as their head coach. I think he's due for a monster second season there with the pieces they have. So I think it gets ugly. I think there's a double-digit win by Alabama when it's all said and done.
Yes, 13.5 right now. You're super confident in that. You're super confident.
I think Alabama can win this game by 20 plus.
That would be brutal for Florida State to come off of that season and start this way. Brand new, newly renovated a stadium, a lot of juice and excitement just for that to happen would be pretty brutal. And again, I think everything you said there's fair, in regards to the talent, in regards to the gap, in regards to things happening the way that they have. A lot is going to fall on Tommy Castellanos. And it's like polar opposite of Ty, right? Like he's good. Just don't mess it up. Hand it off, throw a deep shot to your boy every once in a while. Let that defense do their thing. Tommy has to do everything. And I think he's comfortable with that, right? Like he wants it. He's been talking all off season, said what he said, and he's never shied away from it. And I think that he's going to be a guy that maybe he thrives in that, but it's a little bit different when you're getting smacked around by those guys. And we'll see. We'll see when it hangs. I think I'm with you. I think Bama covers. I think they do their thing. It's going to be tough unless Tommy just plays out of his mind and some crazy which who knows? Crazy turnovers happen.
Sure.
I think the double-digit win is
I think big win for Alabama to start their season.
Yeah.
All right, we both got Alabama over Florida State. All right, Notre Dame going to Miami. This is going to be a fun game. Notre Dame, obviously, was in the national championship a year ago. I'm a big fan of Marcus Freeman. Miami reloads at the quarterback spot. Cam Ward right now in the NFL. My guy Carson Beck going to be starting. I know you're super high on Carson. Had opportunity to go see the Hurricanes a few weeks ago in their practice here in the fall. I think it's going to be a great game. Obviously, once again, just like all these games, playoff pitcher in week one, which makes this
Yeah.
week one just so good because you never know how this game's going to affect your opportunity to be one of the 12 teams at the end of the season in the playoffs. Going to give you this one first again. Notre Dame at Miami. Talk to me about what you like in this matchup.
Yeah, well, this is trench warfare at its absolute peak, right? I mean, this is both very good, elite, maybe amongst the best in the country, offensive lines on either side. Miami probably has a bit of an edge on the defensive side, just when you look at the twitchiness, when you look at some of the athletes they have. I think Ruben Bain is going to kind of have a reemergence party. I think Akeem Mesidor is going to have a reemergence party. And then you look behind them, and it's just 5-star after 5-star after 5-star on the defensive line. Mario Cristobal has built this team inside out. And I think this defense is going to be much improved. You see their new defensive coordinator coming over from Minnesota. The things that they did there, very good at stopping the run, very good at tackling, things that Miami was not good at last year. And they brought a brand new secondary in. That's the good and bad part about this new world that we're in is you can go replace everybody if you want to every year. And that's what they went out and did. They got some headhunters in the secondary. They got some ball hawks and some guys they feel really good about to kind of build around OJ Frederick, who might be the best player on this team at the cornerback position. He's a freaky dude, big dude as well. So I tend to lean defensively, especially up front to the Hurricanes. But for me, it's all about what can Carson Beck do? What does he look like?
Yep.
You know, is fully back like I saw in practice in a real bullets flying situation? Is he ready to push that ball downfield and stand in the pocket, take a hit or two, which hopefully he's not taking many with how good that offensive line is. And then just the young guys like, JoJo Trader. I've heard great things about the last couple of days from Mario Cristobal. He's been thrilled with how he steps up. Malachi Toney, a guy that is going to be a true freshman. Is he ready for this spotlight? CJ Daniels, you talk about how good LSU's wide receivers are. He left, he came over here and he's number one now for the Miami Hurricanes. So how good is he going to be? But very similar to maybe the Ohio State-Texas game where it's low scoring. It is old school, run the ball. We get stopped, you get stopped. We're back and forth. But I love this offensive line, this rush attack from Miami. I think that Mark Fletcher is a monster. I think that Jordan Lyle is a beast. And I think that the transfer coming in from North Dakota State, Chamar Brown there, another guy that's just sledgehammer. Like, I feel great about the running attack and how, they kind of have 4 to Notre Dame's 1 in Jeremiah Love and how they try to supplement.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think head coaching wise, I'm a big fan of Marcus Freeman. I still think Marcus Freeman, I would take him over Mario. And I think this is an opportunity for him to continue to show why he's an elite coach in all of college football. But I mean, for Notre Dame, the big question mark is CJ Carr at quarterback. You got a brand new quarterback going in on the road, first time game, big time game, national audience. But he does have the benefit of a guy that you just brought up, Jeremiah Love, and what I would consider one of the best offensive lines in America. Like, this, to me, feels like a very much early on a Marcus Freeman type football team where it's run the football, slow the game down, or speed the game up, however you want to kind of say it, limit possessions for Carson Beck in Miami, and then play great defense. I think that's what you got to do. And I think until CJ kind of gets his feet wet going this season, that's how you're gonna have to win games low scoring and just kind of grind it out with Jeremiah Love offensively. I think for Miami and Carson, I think this is a big time game to kind of get some of that stank off of him. Because there's a lot of stank on Carson Beck right now.
No question.
Let's be honest. I think after the way last season ended with some of the comments that came out of Georgia, this is his opportunity against the team that was in the national championship a year ago to kind of give 2 middle fingers to the haters, to be honest, and just kind of say, hey, listen, I am still a first round talent. I am still going to be a guy that can make every single throw that you want. And I'm an elite talent. So I believe he's still that. But I do go back to a year ago. And what got Carson Beck in trouble is when he tried to be Superman. And I think, and I said this in our preview show the other day when it came to just his maturity, I need to see Carson Beck have the maturity to say, this is a big time game. I'm breaking in new receivers. I'm in a new offense. I'm coming off a pretty significant injury. I don't need to have this major stat game for us to win. Because this is another game where I don't think you have to score 30-plus points in order to win. Carson, prove to me you're a mature quarterback. Take care of the football. Take completions, similar to his first year at Georgia. Maybe the stat lines aren't always sexy, but just play within the system. And I think if he can do that, then I think he can have a big time game. And I think that Miami can win this football game. I do believe he's going to get frustrated. I think he's going to try to make some plays. I think this defense for Notre Dame is really damn good. They're going to get one or two turnovers, and Jeremiah Love is going to hit a couple explosives in the run game. I think Notre Dame wins a lower scoring defensive type field game, and CJ Carr just finds a way to protect the football.
Let me ask you this before I kind of give you my reasoning. On a 1 to 10, how good do you think Georgia's run game was last year?
It wasn't good at all.
Yeah. So I think because of that, he felt like he had to do it all. He felt like he had to force it. He felt it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be anywhere close to an issue this year. Like, not that saying that he's just going to hand it off left and right, but he has that ability with this team, with this offensive line, running behind Francis Maui Noah there with Mark Fletcher, Jordan Lyle and company. Like, there's just so much more support, I think, that's similar to 2 years ago, where when he throws it, guys are wide open. Like, they're so focused on the run. Yeah. Bam, bam, bam. He's dicing them up. He's delivering shots. He's very accurate. He can push the ball downfield with these speedsters at the wide receiver position. So I think, based on what I've seen, based on how I think this season's going to fall out, we see Carson Beck from 2 years ago. He reminds everybody who he was. Going into last season, he was the number one quarterback on everybody's board. I just think we get back to that. You're right. There's something where some guys can handle it. Some guys want to be the guy. I want all the pressure. I want to make all the crazy plays. Some guys are really freaking good at executing and running the offense and winning games. And that's a big deal too. Like, being a game manager is so funny. You know, the Cam Newton stuff a year or two ago where he's calling people game managers. That's okay. When I call someone a game manager, it's not a negative thing. No. You might not just be a dynamic athlete. You just manage it. And guess what? We win championships. So I think that's perfect situation. He's the best game manager in the country. He delivers strikes. I think they win this game. I think lines of scrimmage both are better on the Miami side. And I think that's a big deal. I think this is a rock fight. I can't wait. We're going to be there. We're going to be there live at Clemson LSU. We're going to be there live at this game. I can't wait to see it in person, but I'm rocking with the Hurricanes. I think they make some big noise in this game.
I think it's another great game, another awesome week one game, but I'm going to go, like I said, with the Fighting Irish in this one. All right, we're going to go a little rapid fire to finish the show off. We got 5 games. We're going to do a quick pick on each and kind of why we're going with that team. Syracuse, Tennessee, USC, Virginia Tech, Auburn, Baylor, Georgia Tech, Colorado, TCU, UNC. All right, let's start with the biggest one first. Syracuse at Tennessee. I'll go first pick here. I'm going to go Tennessee in this one. I still think Tim Banks and that defense, I know there's going to be a lot of questions about Tennessee's offense and Joey Aguilar and the receivers and the offensive line. You lose Sampson at running back. I agree. The offense, I have no idea what this offense is going to, I know what they're going to look like or try to do. I don't know if they're going to be good at it, but I do trust Tim Banks, and I do trust this defense that they'll get the job done against Syracuse and everything that they have to replace with a new quarterback and the receivers, et cetera, et cetera. So I think Tennessee wins it because of their defense.
So are you taking them to cover? We need to be very specific here because it's 13 and a half right now, which is a big old number. 13 and a half in favor of the Volunteers.
No, I would not take them in the number.
Okay, so you're taking Cuse. So that's what I'm picking Cuse to cover. I think Cuse covers. And I'm with you with everything you said about the defense. I think the defense is going to be really, really good. Offense, I have no clue. The offense is gone, right? They ran the ball so effectively last year. That cat's moved on to the NFL. Nico, decided before the spring game, he's out of here. What was your consolation prize? You get the team he went to, you get their quarterback. And who knows? Who knows what it's going to be, how fast they can go, what they're able to do. I like that Steve Angeli was named the QB there at Syracuse. I like their weapons they have. I think they keep this interesting. This might be high scoring. Who knows? But I think they cover. Tennessee probably still wins, but I think Cuse covers for sure.
All right. South Carolina, Virginia Tech. I got South Carolina. I do. I love Lenoris. I think the receivers should be better this year. Defensively, obviously, is going to take a step back. Virginia Tech, man, there's a lot of things going on there. So I think Lenoris going to have that Heisman type season. He starts it off with a big win versus the Hokies.
Yeah, it hurts my heart, and I feel like we're going to be talking about South Carolina a good bit this year because I think they're going to be good, and I don't ever want to do that, but I will out of respect for the rivalry there. I think Lenoris is really good, and I think he can take another step to his game. I'm actually interested in the receivers. We'll see how they step up, how they develop, and a lot of guys missing off the defense from a year ago. So who knows? Maybe we don't talk about them. We'll find out. I do think they win this game. I think there's a lot of juice. You always bring bring up coaches, how important that is to you. If you don't think Shane Beamer wants to destroy
Oh,
these
yeah.
guys, he does. I can
Oh, yeah.
guarantee that. And I'm right there with you. I think that Carolina gets the win.
All right, next big time game, Auburn at Baylor. I'm going to go with Baylor in this one. I think
Are you?
Sawyer Robinson, their running backs back, the receivers back. I think this offense is pretty damn good. Defensively has a lot of guys. No, I like Auburn too. I said I think Auburn's kind of a team to me that could take a significant jump. I just think on the road in Baylor, everything Baylor has on both sides. I think they squeak it out, man. I think this is a really competitive game, and I still think, like I said, Auburn still should have a good season. Just going to be a little bit of a slow start.
Yeah, I'm interested in this a lot. You know, Cam Coleman for Auburn is freak show worthy,
So
right?
good.
Like at the wide receiver position. How do they continue to get him involved even more in this game and let him be a piece? But there's a lot of expectation for Baylor. You know, a lot of people thinking maybe they're winning the Big 12 right there, with Arizona State. Who's going to be able to step up and really take that? That would be huge, for them. I'll hang out with Baylor. I'll do that. And then they play
All right.
SMU week 2. That'll be a better
Here
game
we
for
go,
us.
Bears,
We'll be
baby.
excited to talk about that.
All right, Georgia Tech, Colorado. I'll give you first pick here.
I think Georgia Tech is going to destroy these guys.
I agree.
I think Coach Key and company are so excited for this opportunity. I think that this offense is going to run wild. I think they're going to shut down the run, which they couldn't run last year anyway. You've got, Salter in there at quarterback probably. I think they haven't announced. Colorado hasn't announced.
Yeah.
They probably will as soon as we release this, but they haven't announced who their guy is. I imagine it's going to be him, at least to start. He's a little bit of a wild card, very good career at Liberty. I think Georgia Tech is very too physical. I think they win this game.
I agree. I'm with Georgia Tech too. Haynes King, kind of my dark horse for the Heisman this year.
Yeah.
I think that offense, Colorado, too many. You lost too much. Big fan of Dion, but I think Georgia Tech is a sleeper to be in contention for the ACC this year. So I think they get a nice win in prime time against prime time. All right, last one, Monday Night Football to finish it off. TCU at UNC. Bill Belichick makes his debut as the head coach of the Tar Heels. To be honest, I don't know a lot about TCU. I know UNC's got
Do you know a lot about
pieces.
UNC?
I don't know a lot about UNC either. So I'm just going to say Bill Belichick, just for the sake of college football, wins his first game as head coach. Let's go.
I'm right there with you. Who knows? They got 73 new players. I don't know what any of it's going to look like. I'm going with coaching matters, and this game will probably be a little tight, and there might be some big decision where Bill Belichick makes the right decision and gets them the dub. I can't wait. Brother, this has been so much fun. 2 episodes down, first preview, so much good ball, so much more to come. So stick with us. It's going to be a fun journey. We appreciate you guys. Subscribe, jump on the channel with us, leave some comments, tell us what you want to hear about. Until next time, we'll be back for more.
Okay.